going, everyone? Mufar here. Welcome to Heliopolis Radio. Thank you all for tuning in. Today, we've been fortunate to be joined by Alessandra Veronesi. She is the author of A New Banana, Unpeel Yourself and Elevate Your Relationships. She's here to talk a bit about a book and herself, and also some of her experiences. So, without further ado, I hand it over to you, Alessandra. Thank you for coming onto the show. Why don't you tell us about yourself and what you love doing?
Thank you so much, Mufaro. I am so glad that we're here talking formally because we've talked before behind the scenes and we've had such an interesting conversation that it's just delightful and exciting to be here now. And what was I going to answer? So, what's going on with my life these days? Um, it's a constant journey of learning more and more about who we are and then unlearning and then applying all that. So that's kind of the general way of looking at things. It's been about a year and a half since I published the book. Since then, I published a second book, and that book is more about meditation and how to get ourselves out of states of frustration. And basically, these two books that I wrote, it wasn't that I wanted to write the books. I think it was my way of transforming and healing, like a very intense process of awakening that was going on within me. So, leading up to writing those books, I was not very awakened, we can say, or aware of myself as a spiritual being.
Mm.
And what that looked like in real life was like a kind of a constant state of suffering. And although on the outside it looked fine and like many goals were getting achieved and life was moving forward, I was not happy. And that is as far as I could understand it. Yet, when we are in a state like that and we're surrounded by other people that are doing the same things that we are, it's like the blind leading the blind. Like nobody can
Mm.
tell anyone that it's wrong, right? Because we just keep propagating what we're doing. And so, um, basically, that's a little bit of my story. I, just like everyone else, had some shit to deal with as a kid, a lot of stuff.
I-
And I suppressed it and I got a career and I didn't know who I was and I drank a lot and smoked a lot and hid it from myself.
Mm.
And then one day it all came crashing down around COVID time when I discovered meditation and then a new way of seeing life based on my own connection with myself.
And if you don't mind me asking, I know obviously it's obviously a sensitive topic. I mean, the nervous laughter. I mean, I laugh because it's empathizing. Obviously, it's actually quite an intense process, and
Mhm.
it's, people only understand it when they go through it in their time or in whenever they're ready or whenever it's necessary for them. So you were
Mhm.
working a full-time corporate job, obviously until recently. If you don't mind me asking, what made you quit, and is there also a component of you that misses the corporate life? Because I know, from my own personal experience, when you go through some type of spiritual realization, there's a high in ecstasy or spiritual discovery. Like, I'm starting to realize I'm in this situation, but there's a practical suffering. And those two don't often meet, like you got your finances you need to look after, you got your lifestyle, which, yes, it's a material lifestyle, but we still live in the material world. So when we sacrifice it, we sacrifice it. So I'm just wondering, what made you quit? Was there a component of your old life that you missed? And um, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
So well said. So I another thing that I like to do is that I actually provide people with psychedelic journeys with psilocybin mushrooms. And what I always say is it's not about how far you go. So what, like you said, like in the angelic realms or like looking
Mm,
at, all different kinds of dimensions and your own understanding of what this multi-universe can be like. It's about how you come back. You can
mm,
go anywhere. And this is also applies to when we put ourselves in regressive mental states, when we start thinking unhealthy thoughts and judgments towards it, it's cool. Like, don't judge your judgments. If you're going to be in an ugly state in your head, it's not about where you go. Don't worry about that. It's about how you come back. Like, we are creative beings. We are so creative that we can get really, really mean to ourselves. Like, so whether it's like, because everybody talks about the unicorns and the diamonds and the butterflies in the sky. Yeah, that's beautiful. And there's a certain level of integration that is required with that, because once you realize that we are all one, or some version of that, and that, you know, your lessons are my lessons, and we're in this like constantly updating grid of like infinite probabilities that are like moving forward in its own way without time and space, although it's there. Yes. But there's also the state of mind where, oh my God, like, I'm such a loser. I always do this. Like, like, what's wrong with me? Like, obviously, like, and that is also ugly. And that is also a state. So it's not about where you go, it's about where you come back. So that's what I'm trying to say. In terms of where I'm at today, I feel that I've actually brought the two together. But there was a period of time at the beginning, and I think it's normal, when there is like such a strong awakening process, to sort of repel whatever doesn't resonate with that. And in my case, it wasn't so much the corporate world. It was just that I felt that there was more I needed to do. And so working on a PowerPoint, for however exciting I might have found it once to be for something, didn't feel as important as putting together like a book about how to heal your relationships with everyone around you. And so even I was doing both for a long time. For about a year, I was writing and working. And that was hard.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I just could no longer do both for a little while. And in fact, during a period of time, I had to sort of immerse myself in the spiritual aspect and just really immerse myself. It's almost like, I love the quote, or it's like, learn the rules like a professional so you can break them like an artist. There's a period of time, where you need to get in. You need to learn the rules. You need, and whatever the rules are, you know, whatever your world and rules are. But there was a period of time where I was, you know, I don't want to say like I wasn't like, you know, blame the companies. I wasn't like that, but I was like, it's kind of a stifling environment if you're trying to grow. But what it is actually, it's not. It's just that if you happen to be a little bit trapped in your own patterns and unaware of how to get out of them, it's not a great environment to you kind of end up attracting like toxic work experiences. And so, because that's how the life works, like energy attracts what it is. So and your frequency will bring you different results according to how it is. So of course, in my work situations, I was surrounded by different kinds of triggers that were not so healthy anyway. And so of course it doesn't feel good to be there. But now that a lot of waves of understanding and processing and calming and soothing and meditation and many, many journeys with plant medicine have gone by, there is nothing about the concept of a company or a corporation that in and of itself is wrong or incorrect. In fact, it can bring a lot of happiness and safety to someone who goes there with a transparent intention and perspective and attracts that kind of energy. It is possible more and more. And I actually do still work with companies, and I do still enjoy the dynamic that comes with corporate culture. So
thank you for that. And it's interesting because at least now people understand that, look, having a spiritual awakening doesn't mean completely tossing aside your
you don't have
life.
to move to Bali and become a yoga teacher.
You know,
you can.
No, but that you know, that idea is dangerous because it sells a lot, and people, because of our human nature, we think certain acts are associated with certain things, but in truth, as you mentioned, it's really about circumstances and being practical with yourself and making sense of your situation and recognizing what your internal needs are. And coming to that is that finding peace and joy a core fundamental driving force that led you to writing this book and actually wanting to share it with others, which I find kind of sincere as well. The intention really to put aside, your obligations externally and to really create something that you believe is necessary for people. And so I have to ask you, why is finding inner peace and joy so important to you? And what about the lockdown experience made you realize that? And I guess for everyone, it was a different journey. Everyone was in a different country, different place, and we all went through different things. But it was a time where we all had to face ourselves and we couldn't run away from our baggage, unfortunately. So I guess I'll leave that with you. What was that lockdown experience, and how did inner peace and joy become the pivotal thing for you, or the most important thing in life outside of everything else?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking. And just to touch upon what you were speaking of before, as with you as well, like when we have this kind of a process, we can't help but share it. It's kind of like a side effect because, it's like if you try the best food in the world, don't you want your friends to try it too? You're like, try this food. It's so good. Why are we eating this way? And so like you have this beautiful podcast and I wrote the book um and inner peace and joy, and they seem like I mean, it sounds so simple, and it's terms that I used prior to that and used them to describe even parts of myself, but I didn't fully understand them. And I mean, long story short, I reached a point during COVID. I was alone. I was in Italy. I had just ended a relationship. I wasn't missing that person, but I mean, I just was no longer living with anybody, basically. And after 3 weeks of like full isolation, I honestly could not stand being in my own skin. And I could feel myself just like every minute felt like an eternity. And I didn't know what I was going to do. So I actually called the police, and I was very scared because I was hysterically laughing and then crying the next minute. And I honestly, if that is how someone feels all the time, like I can contextualize wanting to leave the planet. Like it was that bad. And it was an accumulation because of just years of never being with myself. I mean, it was clearly me fearing me. That's all it was, because I didn't have to worry about, luckily, finances. I had the job. I was in a protected home. I was just with myself. But it was the most intense state of suffering. It was like all of like the 10 to 15 years that I had spent working before that. It was like whatever I had denied myself from feeling was suddenly bursting through me, like telling myself to face it. And it was so intense that when my friend messaged me if I wanted to try a meditation that she had started doing very innocently, I had nothing to lose. I mean, I said okay. Like I just desperately said okay, because the police had approved, because you couldn't leave more than 200 meters out of your house. And so I had thought to myself, all right, I can try to go to my family's house and still isolate, but at least be in the same home, like 2 hours away at my cousin's. But so anyway, I found this meditation and I was okay. Like I calmed down. It didn't do anything else, but I calmed down and I realized enough that, all right, I can still, maybe I don't need to get everything out of the house. I had 2 dogs too, which were adorable, luckily, as well. So getting them out, and it was just a big mess. So I said, okay, I can make it one more day. That afternoon, I took the dogs on a walk. I ended up meeting this 21-year-old pizza delivery guy who was just smoking a joint on a hill, and I was like, "Can I please?" And so everything, and I relaxed, and I had my first conversation with a human being, And that saved me. So anyway, the meditation, the meeting of this person, I felt better because it was my first interaction in 3 weeks with a person. And I meditated again the next day. I didn't hate it for an hour. I didn't hate myself. That was great. Third day, whoa. Third day, I had my whole body washed, like this white light went through me, and it felt like I was somehow healed in a way that, like, why, like, if I knew about this, I wouldn't have done therapy for 15 years. And it lasted a second probably, but it felt like an infinite amount of time. And I still have it in me, like this feeling. And that is what washed over me. And when that sensation happened, all right, game's on. Like, I'm in. Like, I feel myself, I'm in myself, I'm in my body, I'm in this life. And I am a writer. I liked writing. I always did. I just grabbed a notebook, still have it. My book was written on a notebook because it was for me. Like, I just started writing, like, oh, this is how it is. This is how it can be. Like, we could see life this way. And I went on and on. I wrote 72 different meditations. I wrote them into meditations, like spoken meditations. And that's how it kind of all went down. And then from then on out, I continued meditating. I started exploring new tools like breath work and all sorts of things. And so it was like really in the nick of time. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, and being open with it. It's not easy to talk about specifically the darker parts of our psyche. I think a lot of people that I know went through that whole phase. I was thankfully in Vancouver, so the lockdown, I mean, I just come out of a relationship as well. So weirdly enough, I guess it's weird. I was actually happy to be on my own because,
Nice.
and we weren't too isolated. So I was able to go to the parks. I just didn't talk to people. I guess that was probably a bit weird part, is people just not interacting as sincerely as possible, more from a fear-based consciousness. That was probably the more difficult, overwhelming psychological thing, is the fear consciousness that everyone was operating on, and they were projecting it on each other and everything. And then you're like, okay, I'm stuck in this collective madness. How am I just going to stay sane almost? But the fact that you made it through, and it's always, when you hear these stories, you're just amazed at how the universe really does work in mysterious ways. Like meeting a person and having a joint and learning not to take life seriously. I mean, to someone that looks like a coincidence, but for someone, in your case, it's a miracle. It's a testament to the grace of the universe. So, I mean, thank you for sharing that, and it's done wonders. It's brought you to this point, and I can only imagine how you've evolved and the people that you've met through this journey. And you actually touched on it briefly, that this was actually what led to the book being written. So if you don't mind me asking, what is the core essence that you'd like people to draw from the book, and also how could they access it?
Yeah, of course. So the essence of the book is that we all have a story that makes us who we are. And it's also just a story, because behind that, we are all just perfect beings of awareness. And so the book is called Unpeel Yourself. I mean, it doesn't mean we need to lead our lives like we are in an ashram wearing like orange and like waking up and hysterically laughing all morning. Like, we don't need to renounce our identity in this world. We can. But it does mean like that when you realize like that life's not so serious, then you can enjoy life in a way that you can elevate your relationships, because you start seeing like that. I don't know. I have bouts of love for people at the supermarket, and some days I realize I'm like, I love everyone here. So it's kind of like the book is very. It's not so esoteric, right? It explains relationships, like how to have a great relationship with yourself, and like it goes through like all the different types of perspectives that are useful to have like a healthy self-esteem, and then it goes through how to do that with friendships, how to do that with strangers, I really love people, so it's very social, how to do it with work relationships. And it also goes through how to face the universe, like what are the different energies, what are the laws of the universe from the Kabbalion. There's a section on that. There's then also a section on the whole last 40% of the book is all romantic relationships, because basically, to answer your prior question, why inner peace and joy, I was a very anxious person. I was a very like type A anxious person. So if you, in any sense, if not you, if someone who's listening resonates sort of with that personality profile where somehow it just feels like you're never there and you're always rushing to get somewhere, and that can be very visible when you're pursuing a romantic relationship. And you want to be cool, like you want to actually attract, because eventually you are a cool, good person, but it's not so attractive when you're getting to know people. And so there's ways, and sometimes, and yes, you want to bring yourself spiritually to that place where you're chilled and whatever, but realistically, like, we don't need to be, what does it even mean to be fully healed? Like, we want to be with a person when we want to be with a person. So anyway, so the book is basically like all these laws of how to see, not laws, but like new perspectives on how to approach the world. Because essentially what I saw also in myself is like, I unpeeled my layers, like where I was from, where my family was, like all these choices that I made because of where I was born and and what the influences around me were. Guess what? They all felt wrong. So you unpeel that layer. I mean, so many people end up in these situations where they have a very expensive mortgage, all this debt to pay off for kind of a job they studied for that they don't even like. And they've got like 40 years before they can finally ask themselves what it is they want to be. And maybe if we avoided that, we could have a much easier life. And so that's what it means, like unpeel those layers, right? We all are born with some kind of a identity, and that's cool until we need it, but it's also, let's not limit ourselves with that.
And I know this is an out there question. I shouldn't write it as a question, but it just kind of popped up. Do you feel that it's different at each stage someone starts their awakening journey? Like you mentioned, some people could be parents now. They have a fully established life. They've got stuff that really they've put out and they can't undo. Not that it's a bad thing, but like, there's certain things that, your choices and everything. Do you feel that it's mandatory for anyone, regardless of whatever phase or stage they are in their lives, and no matter what they feel they're obligated to do, that they take that time to face that dark corner in their mind? That, as you mentioned, a lot of people go about their daily lives, and we work, I'm still in the corporate world as well. I don't go around talking about people's businesses, but we pick up on vibes, and you can like, man, I think maybe a lot of people around me aren't asking these questions, and you get the feeling because people are acting in a certain way, or acting a way I used to act when something was dawning on my mind. So I don't know, I'll just extend that question to you. You can answer it however you see fit.
I hear you. We all have free choice. That's for sure. I think it's like you said earlier too, when people are ready, it will come up. Because here's a little sales call strategy, but people hate to be sold, but they love to buy. So when they're ready, they're going to be like, I need help with this, right? Like, I can't stand it anymore. And that's when, and maybe that's where they need to reach. Or sometimes people are just more gradual about it. Some people might never in this lifetime choose to go and face sides of themselves so that they can come out, more aware. And so I think so that's one answer. At the same time, there's like a little bit of a rule that I have, a strategy, I want to say, or like, because I know what you mean. And especially sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, they're acting this way, but really it's because they're afraid of themselves. Like, I just want to tell them the key so that they can get it.
But you know, the
So
law of karma is sometimes it's not your place, not your situation, not your time
it's
to interact.
not, but if it comes up and it's in your field and the person says twice something, then I feel that I have permission to.
I hear you.
If it
I hear
comes
you.
up twice, then I'll be like, okay, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like, because I might have some thoughts on maybe a new perspective on what's maybe going on with this. And so if they opt in, but it has to be like, um, a little bit more than just noticing. Otherwise, you can only save yourself, and that's enough. Because if we all save ourselves, we're pretty good.
Sandra, you're intelligent and wise beyond your years. I know I'm too young to be saying that, but I'll say it anyway.
Our
And
souls are ageless.
there we go.
There we go.
And it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Obviously, I know we have our time constraints, so the last two questions I'll ask you is, one is, how can people reach out to you? Few people that have come on the shows, yes, they have the books that they have authored, but there are programs or Zoom call sessions or freebies that they may have for people that are anxious and maybe just want to get to know you first and then maybe open up at a later stage. I don't know. Everyone's different, but I do understand that, in-person sessions and I don't know. I'm not too sure what type of programs you're running, if you are running any programs.
Sure.
And
Yeah, well, I'm putting some fun stuff together. But so the easy answer is if people want to go to Holy Shiver on Instagram, so it's HOLY_shiver. There's a link to my books, my link in bio, which are on Amazon. And then also I will be posting new things about programs. So I do private coaching right now when it comes to relationships, and like I mix in energy work and obviously like whatever comes up, if it's work, all of that all is jumbled into the sessions. And then I also have like a 6-week microdosing program. So if people are following microdosing, then depending on where they live, I also grow the mushrooms myself and send them out if it's legal in that territory. And otherwise, we can just work together remotely along the way for 6 weeks. So there's also that available.
awesome.
And there's many meditations for free on my website that people can check out and they can download. And I'll send you the links if you want as well for the show
100%.
notes. And
yes, I was just going to
yes.
add that I will put the links in the video and also in the description for you to access Alessandra's books, firstly, and also contacting her directly. And please don't hesitate to reach out to those of you that do tune in. We're in a pivotal time for spiritual growth, it seems. So people are sharing things in abundance. And so why not take advantage of that and save yourself a great degree of suffering that a lot of people have had to endure for you to maybe not have to go through it. And I feel Alessandra is really sharing her work from a place of deep sincerity. So please support her and please reach out to her and embrace the mysterious journey of life. The last question is, what are your words of wisdom advice for those tuning in? And
Oh, wow. So here's one I recently loved, and that is hold on to look at what I wrote down because I wrote it down. So basically, don't struggle resisting, embrace the depth of surrender. So, and so I think most of our struggle in life comes from wanting things to be a certain way and really resisting. But the depth of receiving that we get from surrendering, like it's freeing and it's open. And so sometimes the thing we least feel like is we need to do is actually what frees us.
Sandra, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. It'll be good to just keep in touch and no, again, wishing you all the best as you continue your spiritual journey and as you touch more people through all the different podcasts that you engage with. Hopefully, they'll provide you a suitable platform to continue, sharing your story. And yeah, it's been a blast.
It's been amazing. You're awesome. Thank you for what you do.